Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday, June 30th, 2025. It is 9:08 a.m. on my Cordaro watch. That means this is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great companies, like Ralph Payne, laid in North Carolina, but from Scranton, James Dipple, Mayfield, Robert McDermott, Duryea, Mauro DeCasinis, Hazleton, Frank Macon, late of Marcellus, New York, but he was from Berwick, Russell Gillespie, Hetlerville, the United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers that the government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom could not be parceled out to groups. It could not be controlled by government or government officials according to our great Constitution, because it ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. Yes, we intend the double entendre. And we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of this morning. And we'll deliver. We're not just going to promise, we do it. Hey, a little article I noted, it was on page 3 of the Times-Tribune Friday, and it was showing my old pal Michael Butler, Dunmore School Board member, and his granddaughter, Layla King. Had been a beautiful picture of when she graduated high school, nice picture of Mike. And she got the appointment to fill his seat. And that's great. I ripped it out because I wanted to pay tribute to my friend Michael, but it's great that they have a young woman on the board in Dunmore. It's good stuff. All right, so I hope you all had a good weekend. I did. Now, Cutie was gone. Well, the mice, what is that? The cat's away, the mice will play. Well, Friday, Chauncey and I just stayed home. My son, Peter, he was meeting up with a couple of his friends, and I almost went. But then I said, enough, basta. And then Saturday we went to Regnacci's, and so everything was going well with the Lewises and Mr. Paul and everything. And then our friend T. Bell comes in, and he lives in Florida. So, I mean, to have him there, so we all got in a lather and just went on far too long and far too hard. And it's, oh, what a disaster. Anyway, then Cutie's home on Sunday. So that was a recovery day for me anyway. But, when I mentioned Mike Butler, I'm thinking of what I have been talking about, how many people that, like friends, like these are people that I felt very close to. How many people have been dying? I don't know if it's a function of my age. I'm 64. I'm not sure. But my old friend Chris Kelly passed away. My friend Garth passed away. It's just been horrible. And because, of what I do, I haven't been able to attend a lot of the services, but frankly, that's all I'd be doing if I could. Our man George Bieber dying, and Ron Lee's Father McLaughlin. It's really been terrible. Yeah, I guess you get to this age, My man Mark Mayer was texting me last night, and he said that he was showing pictures because he runs a place called The Brick. It's his family's bar, restaurant, event space. And, he'll correct me. Hempstead, Long Island? And then he lives in Manhattan. So he had a lot of conversations about, this new lunatic potential mayor, Mamdani. But he's showing me he's fighting traffic. Going over the Thaddeus Kosciuszko Bridge. And then I asked him, I said, do you have to pay the congestion fees? Because he lives in Lower Manhattan. He does every day. That's insane. So that's the deal. These poor New Yorkers. And I mean, you're not necessarily trapped there. That may be the wrong statement. But you're there. You've got investment. You don't just sell a condo or whatever property you own. You don't just pull up stakes. You really just suffer till the boiling point gets too awful for you and you leave. This guy, he's a smiling sicko. Oh, we shouldn't have billionaires, but I'll work with the billionaires. Billionaires shouldn't exist, but I'll work with the billionaires. I mean, it's just the typical communist. That's not socialist. It almost sounds nice. It's the typical communist deal. So what is happening? First, Supreme Court decision on national injunctions. Now, there's going to be judges who defy it, which astonishes me. And then they should all be impeached and removed if you defy the Supreme Court. But they basically said what I've been saying. Hey, you might be able to put in place an injunction for the specific plaintiff that's in front of you. But you can't do it for the whole country. Because I think what the Supreme Court realizes, there's so many left-wing lunatic judges that don't want to follow the law that, point in fact, they're going to be just following their agenda, their left-wing agenda. And we can't have it, because then everything has to go to the Supreme Court. And, of course, these nutcase judges need to be overturned. So, yeah, crazy. But that was a good decision, an important decision. I thought they could have been a little clearer for people like Ketanji Brown. That's the Supreme Court Justice Biden appointed, who couldn't define a woman, even though she apparently is one. Yeah, that's how dumb she is. And I read it. I read portions of Coney Barrett's discussion of Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent in one of their decisions. And it was, She basically said, "You're really being dumb, and I'm calling you out on it because we can't have this on the Supreme Court. It's an embarrassment." But anyway, the Supreme Court, and that's why we played that piece, Scott Jennings from CNN. Trump's had a couple of big weeks, but now the key is the big, beautiful bill. It's in the Senate. And you may have heard this whole thing. They're calling it a vote-a-rama. Essentially, it's a period of time, starting now, where any senator can offer an amendment to the bill. And the parliamentarian has pre-decided. That's the one we played regarding her, I thought, arbitrary decisions on what could go in the bill and what couldn't. We played about her on Friday. But essentially, some will require 51 votes to pass if they are deemed germane, and other amendments will be not germane and have to have 60 votes. Well, that's not going to happen. Democrats ain't going to vote with anything the Republicans propose, and the Democrat proposals will be insane. So, I don't know. All right, we've got a little clip we want to play. Mr. Paul just reminded me. We've got a little clip we want to play because it describes Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Supreme Court Justice. So we'll play that when we come back, but we do have to hear from our great sponsors. We'll do a little history, a little music, and if you want to join in here, 570-883-0098. The Coasters. Murph says they had the number one R&B hit with Yakety Yak. And then 1865, quick justice dispensed to the conspirators. By the way, people forget this. The conspirators in this situation, in the Lincoln assassination, they wanted to kill all of the cabinet officials. It was a widespread conspiracy. They failed in the other attempts, but they basically wanted to take out the whole government. My man Mark Mayer sends to me, the price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. Yeah, it's so true. We let down our guard. That's what we say. That's what we play the Mark Mayer song. The battle is over, but the war goes on. These people are not going away. Mayor Tony Amico texts me, future mayor of Troop. He says, an elderly friend said to me yesterday he takes too many naps. Well, the mayor answered him, be grateful you woke up. I guess we should be. But so anyway, the big, beautiful bill will be wending its way through. Somebody texts in, so instead, the Supreme Court will put forth their right-wing agenda. That's not the way the courts are supposed to work. No. Dear God. Could you be that confused? Do you actually think the 600-odd local district court judges in the federal system can govern our foreign policy? Really? That's insane. I hope you're not insane. And what is right-wing about saying, hey, a local judge can decide the case in front of them? They can't pass a national injunction. A national injunction that determines our foreign policy. It's crazy. So people continue. I don't know. And one of the reasons conservatives get frustrated, left-wingers get frustrated when their efforts to use the courts to legislate fail. Left-winger like this listener. Conservatives, we get frustrated, but I fully understand it. And some conservatives get angry when the conservatives don't go far enough to get the courts out of business that they shouldn't be in. So we have an election. Trump wins. He says what he's going to do in advance. I mean, there's nobody more transparent than Donald Trump. He then does it. And the dissenters, the left-wing lunatics, go and find a left-wing lunatic judge, and then this local judge, one of 600 and some, decides, no, President of the United States can't do that. That's crazy. And the Supreme Court stepped in and said, no. What is conservative about that? What is right-wing about that? You're just upset that these idiot left-wing lunatic judges that Biden and Obama appointed can't make decisions governing the whole country. By the way, the left knows its views are despised. They know their views are despised. They actually know that their positions, the things they stand for don't work. And yet they want more of it. Either they hate Donald Trump or I just don't get it. And now another Borat, as my man Mark Mayer calls him, Mondami, is the new face of the Democrat lunatic left. And he's proposing all things that have failed everywhere and every time they've been tried. Quite amazing. The troll says, so the judges can be left-wing and called insane, but I can't call the judges right-wing. That's crazy. Well, you can call them anything you want, but it's not true. I mean, it isn't true. Please tell me what's wrong with the analysis that I just presented, that the court presented. By the way, one of our listeners says, Bob, Mary Surratt was the only woman in U.S. history to be hung. Fascinating. For the Lincoln. And again, it was a whole government conspiracy. Somebody said, Bob, I'm curious as to how a Supreme Court justice gets appointed. What qualifications must they have achieved, etc.? I'm not aware of how this occurs. No, they've got to go through Senate hearings and have a Senate approval. Advice and consent of the Senate are the actual words, and they could turn down a Supreme Court justice. Ketanji Brown, Jackson Brown, or was it Brown Jackson? Whatever. Doesn't matter. She is ill-suited to be a jurist. And my man, Mr. Paul, came up with something that is completely relevant. And this might have actually, Bulldog, are you ready? You're staring at something. This might actually have been part of her Senate hearing. It's just like, so that's essentially what the majority and that opinion written by Amy Coney Barrett, they said to Jackson. It appears as though you have no legal training whatsoever. She's a Supreme Court justice. It's crazy. So no, it's the president's choice. They're supposed to have certain qualifications. Again, Ketanji Brown Jackson is the one who did not know or would not say what a woman is. She said, I don't know. Now, I could see a man maybe stumbling over this, but a woman? No, she is a left-wing lunatic hack. And she is not qualified to be on the United States Supreme Court. Just is not. And we're stuck with her for her life. Incredible. Cinderblock says, imagine the outrage of some crony on one of the local, you're saying schools, but I think you mean courts around here, declared that anybody from any state or country, well, what is the rest of this? Yeah, but essentially, yeah, take some local judge saying, oh, no, you can't do that in the entire state of Pennsylvania. A local judge, municipal judge. It's crazy. I don't know. I just, you see this stuff happen. And as Mr. Paul points out, Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Jackson Brown, whatever, she says in her, I'm not a biologist, as to why she couldn't answer what a woman is. No, but you're a woman. You cleverly overlooked that fact. But that's how insane the Democrat Party has become. It's completely insane. I don't know. That's where we head. That's where we are. Hey, I look up and I see that the Baccardo Jewelers, your Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, your watch store, period. The time is 9:34 with 18 seconds. We'll be back. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our man John Basiliga and his great family of companies that includes Eastern Roofing Systems, commercial, residential, Serenity Care, 4 facilities in Luzerne and Lackawanna counties that are the gold standard in senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. J. Bass Realty, the most outstanding, most beautiful apartments you will see anywhere throughout Lackawanna County, coming to Luzerne. And some of the greatest commercial space. They will build it to suit. And then, of course, Basiliga Hospitality. Tonight, you've got a lot of options, but one new one is the Terra 519, one of the few high-end restaurants open on Mondays. James Dipple, he was just 59 when we lost him May 21st after an extended illness. He was born in Peckville, graduate of Valley View High School. He served us with 6 years in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. He was a cross-country truck driver, motorcycle enthusiast, loved playing golf. He's survived by 2 brothers, 2 sisters, nieces, nephews, and many other family members gone too soon. James Dipple. Ralph Payne, late of Lexington, North Carolina. We lost him May 17th. He was 83 years old. Born in Scranton. A man of quiet strength, unwavering dedication. Ralph lived a life defined by hard work, service, and deep devotion to family. He served his country proudly in the United States Army. Went on to build a successful career as an engineering manager with Thompson Consumer Electronics. Known for his sharp mind, steady leadership, and integrity in both professional and personal life. His wife, Carol Ann DeMarco Payne, predeceased him. He's survived by his children and grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. Ralph Payne, our veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great family of companies. Oh, that means the weather, that little noise. Storm Tiger 16 forecast meteorologist Anthony Bordenaro. Today, partly sunny and humid with a chance of late-day thunderstorms. High near 90. Tonight, partly cloudy and muggy, 71. Tuesday, clouds and breaks of sun with showers and thunderstorms. High 85. Wednesday, mostly sunny. High 85. Oh, Lord. So, someone had texted in, well, not someone. Fran, the man from Shavertown, he says, Fetterman's blowing the whistle on everything, but it's a dog whistle, and the idiots don't hear it. Well, Connor Lamb, you remember that name? He's the guy that Fetterman beat 3 years ago in the Democrat primary for the Senate seat. And the Republicans said, oh, my God, we got this one won. Well, people voted over one of the most qualified people to ever run for U.S. Senate, Dr. Oz. They voted for a guy who literally could not speak. Just go figure that one. And again, my man Frank Mack, he sends me the fundraising letters on the regular, as we say, from Fetterman. He's a left-wing loon. Do not believe this wolf in a sheep's hoodie. Do not believe. And Connor Lamb now, he was the, quotes, moderate Democrat who won a House seat way back when in a special election. And he has now tacked hard left, and he's going to go after Fetterman in the primary. We'll see. Anyway, my man Gary Duncan pointed that out and reminded me of it. I've been watching Connor Lamb running around. And Gary had sent me a great veteran story of a guy who he lost his leg and came back he was a baseball player, and came back to play baseball after losing his leg when his plane crashed in World War II. Incredible stuff. By the way, do you remember when I was telling you, and it was sort of brief, but I did make mention of World War II veteran Sergeant Joseph Drake of Hawley. The material I had said that his son represented him, John. Well, no, Joseph Drake was there. And he got the Congressional Gold Medal given to him by our great Congressman, Representative Rob Bresnahan. He was there at 100 years old. He was in D.C. Unbelievable. Great stuff. So I stand happily corrected on that. All right, let's go to Lorene from Old Forge. Hi, Lorene. How are you?
Good, Bob. How you doing?
Great.
Listen, judges like Katanji, I don't know how to say her name really. How did she get through school? I don't understand that. So I started thinking about that. In the educational system and the high school system, people are leaving and graduating without the ability to be able to read, right?
Yeah, Chicago.
How does
Look at
that
Chicago.
Yep. Well, that happens because they pass these kids even when they're failing.
Yep.
And I have to think to myself, well, if that's the case, once they get to college, are they doing the same thing? Because we're getting judges and people that are incompetent and have no business being where they're at, including in office in some offices. So I would wonder how we would be able to look into that to see what kind of grades she got in order to pass, or if, I mean, is there a way to check to see if the colleges are just the same thing?
Let me say this, Lorene. I used to tell people at Penn, where I went to law school, I said, this is easier than kindergarten. I said, because in kindergarten, you had to finish the macaroni man before they let you go home. So don't assume that law school is hard just because they made shows and movies about it. Lawyers as a profession, there's a lot of whiners in among. So they whine about everything. They whine about how hard law school is. Well, it just isn't. It's not hard at all.
Good to hear. Because I'm telling you, that woman has no business being a Supreme Court justice.
She
And I
has
know that you
zero
don't have to
business.
have a law degree to do that, but it would be nice to have a good one. And then there was an article in the Scranton Times this yesterday, I believe it was, in regards to LGBTQ something or other. They interviewed a guy that was a professor at Marywood College teaching sex education on LGBTQ specifically, and he's saying that these puberty blockers are anything that they cause to a body is reversible, which is not true.
Yeah, and he's not a scientist. He's not a doctor, but he'll open his stupid mouth, won't he?
Yeah, and people believe this stuff. So I'm going to go and interview a doctor so that I can do an article on that to counter that article, because it's not true. And he's not a doctor. I mean, that's why everybody's so upset, because they're harming people. It's not that we're transphobic. We are concerned about these poor people that have an actual disorder that are being destroyed by the pharmaceutical and medical community.
Well, it has been defined now as a mental illness.
Yes, it most certainly it was. Yeah.
So, look at. They deserve all the compassion in the world. They deserve all the support in the world, all the counseling we could provide, and then they can make their decisions when they're adults for themselves. That's not what the left wants. They treat transgenderism as though it's a club, and we want more members in the club. It's lunacy. It just is.
Yes. Appeasement is not what you treat a disorder with. You don't tell an anorexic, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea to starve yourself. Continue to do that. Let's encourage that behavior." No, that's an actual disorder, and it needs treatment.
Yeah.
Just like someone who actually believes that they're in the wrong body, for crying out loud.
Well, I may disagree with you. I believe gender dysphoria exists.
Yes, it does. Yeah, they actually believe this.
And how an individual deals with it when they are an adult is a personal choice that they have the right to make. They don't have the right to make taxpayers pay for their transition, but they certainly have the right to make the decision.
Well, but we shouldn't be encouraging that kind of. That's like saying, like I said, an anorexic that has body dysmorphia should continue to starve themselves. That's not what the way the medical community should be looking at this stuff. They never did it before. And I just don't
you've got a left-wing grip on our educational system. You've got a left-wing grip on our media. And many other, the bureaucracy of the medical community, and they're in scary place. And now that they can make literally billions of dollars off of this, the total lie of what they call gender-affirming care. Now that they can make billions of dollars off of that, they're all in.
I mean, that's just terrible. They're literally disfiguring children and teenagers. And they talked about that in the article as well. And then they said, well, we should pay for this, but we don't do that procedure. Explain that one.
I know.
They don't do that to children, but we should actually pay for it, just in case, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, where's the logic?
Thank you, Lorraine. Always a pleasure.
Have a good one.
All right, thank you. We'll take a break. By the way, somebody texted in. They said, Bob, I believe New York education system is also responsible for the latest mayoral candidate. Yeah, well, the father's a professor at Columbia. These are profoundly different people. And again, you could not have studied history and be a socialist. You couldn't have. You could not have studied human nature and human behavior and be a socialist communist. And this clown, Mandami, has said, we will eventually take over the means of production, meaning they're going to own everything. It's about power. It always was. Communism, socialism, whatever you want to, it's about them having power because they know better than everybody else. That's what it is. We'll take a break and be back. Yeah, we're back. The Supremes. They recorded their hit, You Keep Me Hanging On this date, 1966. Bob Cordaro back with you. The Babylon Bee, they say Supreme Court legalizes the Trump presidency. It's so true. Unbelievable. And you look at these judges, and it's quite astonishing. Oh, by the way, the jury is going to begin deliberating in the Diddy trial. I don't know, is he Puff Daddy? Is he Diddy? Whatever nickname he's going by. It just doesn't have a lot of consequence, except to point out, I guess, that if you're uber wealthy and powerful, you can abuse people. I don't know where the feds get the crimes, although each individual act of abuse would be some sort of crime. But to fashion it into some kind of RICO case, I'm not getting it. And maybe the jury won't either. We'll see. We will see. I mean, it's not going to hurt anybody if he goes to prison or stays in prison, actually. But I don't know. In the end, you got to have a case. And I don't know what that case is. Sex trafficking and racketeering. Okay. I haven't gotten the case. I haven't understood it. Unless the videos that we are not seeing. Now, remember what a RICO case is. You got to have at least two predicate acts. In other words, at least two criminal actions within a larger conspiracy. Then you could be adjudged guilty of racketeering, influence, corrupt organization. We'll see. We'll see what the jury says. Oh, Mayor Regina, a good way to finish the hour. She gets in our Mother Teresa for today, June 30th. It's the end of the month. Wow. Mother Teresa says, to leave Loretto was my greatest sacrifice. The most difficult thing I've ever done. It was much more difficult than to leave my family and country. In Loretto, I received my spiritual training. Well, boy, you did great when you left, St. Teresa. The big question is, when will the P. Diddy brand of baby oil come out? If he's ever acquitted, it's coming out. Somebody said, good, I thought I was the only one that didn't understand the Diddy case and where the charges came from. Messed up stuff, but not a lot of... well, then they cut your thing off. Yeah, I'm not getting it, but we'll see if the jury did. I mean, they were there. I haven't paid close attention to it, except to observe from the outside as a lawyer, but not, not an expert in this kind of criminal case. Well, I guess I am. I was convicted of RICO, so I guess I am an expert of sorts. But I'm not getting it. We'll see. Somebody said, Bob, I saw the same article Lorene Cummings was talking about in the Citizen's Voice yesterday. It was the lead story on page 1 with the title of Trump's Rollbacks Worry Transgender Community. So many other stories to lead the front page of a Sunday paper, and they chose this, Eric in Exeter says. LTS back at you, Eric. These newspapers are rags. The people making editorial decisions at the Scranton Times, the Citizen's Voice, yesterday's news, sometimes known as the Hazleton Standard Speaker, the Pottsville Republic, they're idiots. They're left-wing loons. And they make all their decisions based on trying to thrust their ideology and their agenda on the readership, which is why the newspapers are failing. Unbelievable. That's your front page. And by the way, we were talking about it Saturday night at Ragnacci's. Like, wait a minute. Who's bothering the transgender people? Who? I really want to know who. Because they should be stopped from bothering them. What? What are they doing to you? I want to know. Nobody should be picking on people who have issues. Nobody. But I want to know what they're doing. We're trying to say, again, we're trying to, okay, who's doing what? Or are you perceiving something either because of the media or because you've got insane leadership in your group? Okay, let's say I'm transgender or gay or whatever. I mean, the Secretary of the Treasury is gay. Trump doesn't care. I don't even know what are you driving at here? Now, he's got no transgender officials. But, like, what are you driving at? You want transgender officials? Well, look what Biden appointed as Assistant Secretary of Health. A failed Secretary of Health here in Pennsylvania. There's your transgender. Unqualified. Horrendous at her job. Oh, yeah, and then the other guy who was in charge of nuclear waste who liked to steal, women's luggage. Unreal. Again, if someone could tell me specifically what they're doing to transgender people, that they should be all up in arms or nervous or scared or whatever it is, please let me know. I want to know. All right. Bulldog says news. So do I. My Picardo watch tells me it's 10:04, so I'm way late. Bob Cordaro, WILK, will return after the news. You know it. Great good morning, everyone. My Bacardo's watch tells me it's 10:11 here in the great Northeast this beautiful Monday, June 30th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great family of companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate this date, like James Dipple, Mayfield, Ralph Payne, late of North Carolina, but he was from Scranton. Mauro DeCasinis, Hazleton. Robert McDermott, Duryea. Frank Max Macon, late of Marcellus, New York, but Berwick. And Russell Gillespie of Hetlerville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, telling you and promising you that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a mad world where everything's turned upside down by these people, the left. Bob, somebody texted in, I was recently at a gathering of old school 80s Democrats who came over to the Republican Party. This transgender issue and operations on our children is huge. And they told me the open border bothered them tremendously, but the mutilation of innocent children forced them over to Trump forever, no matter what he does. And that makes all the sense in the world. It makes all the sense in the world. And by the way, the good thing is he's doing everything right. Now, I'm not a monster fan of the big, beautiful bill, but yeah, you've got to understand, when you're an individual legislator, you've got to vote for things that move the ball forward, and normally you're just nudging it forward. It's just it's the way legislation works. There's more good things in this bill than bad. But there are things that I don't like and that most people would not like. But they're there. And you either vote for essentially what the House passed or you don't. And I would never hand that to the Democrats because they're lunatics. They're insane. Bob, I'm confused. Doesn't homosexual cover it all? No, it doesn't. This is a group, the LGBTQ+++, whatever. They're trying to bring in as many normal people as they can so that their lunacy doesn't look as bad. That's what they're doing. And I tell you, when you look at a transgender person, I truly do not know what a queer is. That used to be a pejorative for gay people. But when you look at what it is, they're trying to lump themselves in with normal, productive members of society to try to get some kind of purchase in the public discourse. But they don't deserve it. At the same time, I tell you what I always tell you. You know, they theoretically say I'm white. I don't buy it for a second, but that's another story. But let us say that I am. Does Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden speak for me? No. So these goofball lunatics and left-wing insane people don't speak for a majority of the gays in this country, a majority of the transgenders even. So So don't hold it against don't hold it against real people that their leadership is gone, gonzo, completely. By the way, just a shout out, had a first person interaction with the police this weekend, and I'm happy I read that policeman's prayer every Friday. They're great. They just are. And know it, by the way. Know that they are, and they're trying to do the right thing all the time. That's our cops. And they get and should get the benefit of the doubt every time. If somebody does something wrong, fine. We'll eventually get to it. But this, what the left does, they jump on the cops as soon as they do something or as soon as a bad result occurs. I guarantee you, 99, to the extent of ivory being pure soap, 99 and 44/100% of the time, they're trying to do the right thing. And the vast majority of the time, they do the right thing with good results. One of the trolls says, Trump is doing everything right. I almost went off the road laughing when you said that lie. Too funny. Tell me what he's doing wrong. Please tell me. What? Remember the left-wing idiots. First, the tariffs are going to cause inflation. They're terrible. It's terrible to have equal trade and to try to bring American jobs back and the American middle class back. It's terrible. Well, there was no inflation. What are you going to do about that now? Well, then they go on to the next issue. We're trying to ship people out of the country who shouldn't be here that your idiot let in. And they're committing massive crimes. They're stealing American jobs. They are depressing American wages. They are destroying American culture. Oh, but don't kick them out. My gosh. Think of all the positions the left takes. Everything's wrong. Everything the Democrat Party says they believe in is wrong. And you got to have Fetterman, of all people, calling them out on it. We work with our ally in the Middle East, Israel, by the way, as well as all of our Arab friends in going after Iran. The only Democrat to defend it is Fetterman. Please tell me what he's doing wrong. So end your goofiness and give me specifics of what he's doing wrong, and I'll address it. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. A little history, a little music, and then you at 570-883-0098 to call or to text. I never knew what that was. Sweet Hitchhiker. I didn't know what they were saying. I just liked the song. Murph tells us this date, 1971, they released their hit, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Sweet Hitchhiker. And then, of course, before that, and maybe not, of course, 1971 this date, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that the government could not prevent the New York Times or the Washington Post from publishing the Pentagon Papers. These is a really curious thing. The printing of the Pentagon Papers led to Watergate and the downfall of President Nixon. Now, he was not truly implicated in any of this. The Pentagon Papers, so named, was a huge file that discussed our creeping involvement in Vietnam, back from the Eisenhower administration. The main fingers that were being pointed was at Lyndon Johnson, not Richard Nixon. But he thought the implications to his policy and the fact that stolen papers could be printed was such that he then created the plumbers. These were people who went in, and actually they went in to maybe, I think their first burglary was against Daniel Ellsberg's psychiatrist office, trying to get damaging information on Daniel Ellsberger, who's the guy who leaked the papers. And then it went from there. They went to the Democrat National Committee. Crazy stuff. You wouldn't think, like, well, what? But that's how Nixon's downfall started. And I, to the life of me, I don't know why he thought he had to get in the middle. I don't know. I really don't know. Somebody says, Bob, in all my years involvement in politics, I never thought a political party like the Democrat Party would ever vote for a socialist or promote the sexual mutilation of an innocent child. No doubt the Democrat Party is truly evil or totally out of touch with reality. They must be stopped or all of America will become New York City. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Luciano, thanks for your patience, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, Bob, thank you for taking my call. I just want to say.
Well, wait, you gotta let your theme song play. It was
go ahead.
Such a good choice. Such a good choice. Ice Ice Baby.
Ideal.
All right, go ahead, Luciano. Fire away.
Yes, I want to talk about. Are you familiar with the term black fatigue?
Yes.
Okay, that's where. Okay, I don't want. Maybe the people out there don't know it. It's about time, and I'm glad, pleasantly surprised, and pleasantly happy that blacks are finally waking up. I don't mean that derogatory, but blacks are finally seeing that this mass illegal invasion and this liberalism is not helping them, and the Latinos are surprised and angry and frustrated and resentful that blacks, many of them, are not supporting this mass illegal, or not supporting their rioting, or not supporting their complaints, or are sitting back and just smiling at them and saying, "You didn't do anything for us. You never have. You're piggybacking on us on the 14th Amendment." And by the way, I hope the 14th Amendment by the Supreme Court gets overturned, I believe, in the next year. And that was meant for black slaves. It wasn't meant for anybody to come over by plane or by over the border from Mexico or wherever to get all the perks and benefits that the black people suffered and died for.
Well, and here's the practical
ahead,
effect that I hope the Supreme Court looks at when they look at birthright citizenship. We now have over 10% of the country, by any reasonable estimate, over 10% of the country is illegal, aliens. Well, if you're automatically a citizen, and Trump's only position is if you're the child of illegal aliens, you don't get automatic citizenship. That's it. And it's like, at this point, with 40 million illegals in the country, well, you can't do it. And you're right. It was intended for the children of slaves not to get screwed worse than the Democrats were going to screw them. And there it is, you
Go
know.
ahead, please.
Yeah.
And by the way, Bob, it was meant. The only way you can become an American citizen is one parent has to be a legal citizen of this country for that to happen. But my family, half of them, most of them, live in Arlington, Texas, outside of Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really. Bob, you mentioned me and others Latinos like me. I have a red mega hat. Do you know kind of expressions and looks I get when I walk through Luzerne County and Scranton? Evil, wicked. Latinos hate me and they despise me, and I don't care. I don't give a, But
Well, maybe they'll wake up too. You don't know. They may wake up seeing that somebody is being normal on that side and not slavishly following the Democrat Party, which has totally lost it. By the way, the majority of legal immigrants are for Trump's policies.
I agree, Bob. I tell people that it's mostly the migrants, illegals, or non-citizens, or undocumented, whatever word you want to use, that's causing all this chaos throughout this country. And I'm pleasantly, like I told the call screen in my last words, I'm glad that the lower courts were given the finger, were scolded by the Supreme Court, and it was overturned Friday. And now Donald Trump can deport whomever he wants to deport, and also trans surgery. Taxpayers no longer have to pay for trans surgeries, and also the freeze on migrants resettlements, whatever that means. And I agree with that, and I'm absolutely happy. And Bob, I think you know what I like most about you. You speak your mind, and you don't make people guess and say, "Oh, I think he said this." No, I think he didn't say that. Oh, may he lukewarm. I can't stand a lukewarm Christian. And you speak your mind, regardless of what they say. And that's what separates you from a lot of talk shows. You say exactly. You make it perfectly clear that where you stand.
See,
Thank you, Bob.
that's why you have a theme song. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Luciano. By the way, a huge oversight by me. Huge oversight. Do you know who was at Rags' Saturday night? Rob O'Donnell was there. Our guy, he joined Tal and the Lewises and everything. Oh my gosh, how that crossed or passed by me, I don't know. When I was talking about it. But anyway, yeah, we had a great time with Rob. Great time. Our afternoon guy. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. My Bacardo watch tells me it's 10:30 and 32 seconds. We'll be back. Our veterans this hour and every hour. This day and every day. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, a true patriot, and his great family of companies from Eastern Roofing Systems, Serenity Care, J. Bass Realty, Basiliga Hospitality, and reminding you, Terra 519 open for fine dining tonight, Monday night. First to honor is Mauro Di Cosinas. He was just 59. He was from Hazleton. Born in San Mauro La Bruca, Italy, he moved to Hazleton as a child. A graduate of Hazleton Area High School and Penn State University. After college, he served us in the Pennsylvania National Guard. Beloved son, brother, father, uncle, and dear friend. He'll be fondly remembered for his witty personality and his hard-working character. He's survived by his beautiful mother, Celestina, as well as a daughter and a sister and many other family members. Mauro Di Cosinas. Robert McDermott. He was just 75 when we lost him May 8th. He was from Duryea. Born in the Pittston Hospital. Graduate of Milton Hershey High School, class of 1969. After that, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps. Member of the Holy Rosary Church in Duryea. He was employed as a maintenance mechanic at McKinney, the hinge plant. He was a devoted family man who married his childhood love. They met through a pen pal program at their respective schools. Surviving are that loving wife of 52 years, Karen Cremard McDermott, his son, his daughter, 4 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and many other family members. Robert McDermott. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and his amazing family of companies. Storm Tracker 16 forecast for meteorologist Anthony Bordenaro. Today, partly sunny and humid with a chance of late-day thunderstorms, high near 90. Tonight, partly cloudy and muggy, 71. Tuesday, clouds and breaks of sun with showers and thunderstorms, 85. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 85. Yes. Murph says, this day, 1971, Paul Revere and the Raiders received a gold record for their hit, Indian Reservation. The song was written, Murph says, by John Loudermilk and was first recorded by Marvin Rainwater in 59 as the Pale-Faced Indian, but it never charted. Well, after a little cultural appropriation, Paul Revere and the Raiders made it a hit. And, of course, that infamous debate with a decrepit, disgusting, corrupt Joe Biden saying nothing. Well, actually, Kamala Harris says nothing. Joe Biden would say gibberish. Charles from Scott Township checking. He says, if a young couple in the military is stationed in a foreign country and the wife gives birth, the baby is not a citizen of that country. What very smart point, Charles. Thank you. Exactly. How does this happen? Somebody sent me a thing by Rush Limbaugh. I'm going to figure out when to sneak it in. I think it was Robin. Anyway, he goes through a list of restrictions on illegal immigrants. And he says, well, that's what I support. And he says, by the way, that's the law in Mexico. Tom from Dallas asked, did the troll ever answer you about what Trump isn't doing well? I'm betting not, and you're right. They don't have any specific. They have nothing. He's making them feel bad because they want to feel bad. That's what he's doing. To the left, he's making them feel bad even as they live better under Trump. We played Scott Jennings. Energy prices, the country standing in the world, trade policy coming together, an actual trade policy, not we give in and they just dump stuff on us. Yeah. Quite amazing. Well, here's our man, Bill from Pittston. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing good.
Bill, we got to get you a theme song. I want you to think on that. You text it into me or something. We'll figure it out. Unless you have something right on top of mind. Or you tell Bulldog next time you call.
Okay, I will.
All right.
You know, it's funny. I've listened to you talk about one of your main sponsors that, you know, refurbishes and restores these buildings like the Stegmeyer Mansion.
Yeah.
I went on a tour with Tony Brooks, the council person. He does a tour of Wilkes-Barre. This guy's a walking encyclopedia. And I'll tell you what, your sponsor, you can't plug him enough for me. I love that guy. All the stuff he's done. It's remarkable. People, and that walking tour that Tony Brooks brings, I mean, it's fantastic. And he encourages people to move to downtown Wilkes-Barre, which I wouldn't do. But I'll tell you what your sponsor has done is incredible.
Well, John Basiliga was on with us last week. And, I mean, the projects he has going, it's dizzying. He's got great people that work for him, and he's a genius. There's nothing short of that. And he's the level of commitment to the area is the big thing. And Wilkes-Barre's, if they don't already love him, they will.
They have. It's incredible. That's why I said you can't plug him enough as far as I'm concerned, because the guy thing he's done, it's incredible.
I'm with you on that one.
Well, anyway,
you were going to call about Nixon. Talk to me.
Yeah, you know, I remember going through that whole stuff with Watergate, and Nixon was so paranoid at that point that he killed himself with that whole thing. And I never thought anybody could take as much abuse like he did. Of course, he was used to the Kennedy days where they got away with murder. He couldn't understand why they're coming after him.
Why me?
And I'm thinking, how can this guy, you know, not totally crack up, which he did, though. And then you look at Trump, and I'm thinking, that's why I love Trump. Oh, my God, this guy, I've never seen anybody. I mean, he makes Nixon look like a Boy Scout. And the thing is, you know, it's incredible how this guy can absorb all these attacks and still do what I mean, the guy, I can't say enough about Trump, but just watching Nixon implode, what a tragedy that was. That, to me, that was one of the saddest days in the country when he got impeached. But
Nixon,
so paranoid.
Nixon was I don't know, he had a very fragile ego. And that's why he went into politics. And Trump, He's got something else completely. And one of the things he does that I think helps him a lot is he attacks back. He doesn't just sit there and take it the way George Bush did, senior and the son. He doesn't sit there and just take it the way Nixon did. And I think that gives him some release, but it also gives those of us who support him encouragement to continue fighting on his behalf. And Nixon never really provided that.
Exactly. And that's why I love Trump. You punch me in the arm, I'll punch you in the face. And like even Gerald Ford, oh my God, what a milquetoast guy he was. I mean, I just couldn't cotton up to him. And the Republicans, the martini class, the Republicans, they never fought back. And now finally we got a guy that fights back. And I love him for it. I love the fact. And they go, well, he's crude. No, he's honest. He's saying up front what everybody says in private.
He is crude. So what?
Exactly. That's what I like about him, because he's real. And poor Nixon, though. I never thought I'd see where anybody come after a politician like they did Nixon. Then along comes Trump.
Yep.
He doesn't take it. That's why he's a great man.
Well, he's ours, and we're lucky to have him. I guarantee it. And I'm not with him on everything, and I don't like when he, I think he does a lot of unforced errors with his mouth. But and you know what? He's got a level of it's a level of positivity that gets him into trouble, because he'll say, "Oh, we've got a peace deal," or "We've got a trade deal," and he doesn't. Because he wants to will it into reality, and that's what the left uses to say, "Oh, he's lying." Well, no, he's not.
Yeah, and the thing is, what he says eventually comes to fruition.
Some measure of it. That's right. That's right.
And that's what I love about the guy. He just makes it happen. He's the first Republican I ever saw that ever gave it back instead of these guys like I didn't like George Bush W. I didn't like W. I wasn't too crazy about his father either, but George W. I always said the jerk with a smirk or the smirk with a jerk.
I'll tell you what, George the father was a good president if he did not screw up and raise taxes, and it was a monumental foul up. He would have been a two-term president, even with Perot running. And he would have, I think, achieved greatness. I do, but yeah, he blew it with one major. He backed off on what I think he believed in.
Oh yeah, and
George the son, I liked him personally. I met him a dozen times. He just had a very poor presidency.
Yeah, well, he's part of that elite class too. I mean, that's what did him in too. I mean, that phony nobility, come here,
the establishment, the establishment, and you do establishment things, you get establishment results, and what are those? They're results that only benefit the establishment in the long run. Yep.
But it also comes across as phony to me. I mean, they play this game like they're made in marble, like they're icons of history. And the thing is, be real. That's what Trump is. And George W. I just thought he was the dumbest president we ever had. I was against the invasion of Afghanistan. Both my boys are in the Marine Corps. They served over there, and I support the troops 150%.
Well, congratulations.
But I'll tell you what, I think they should have left Saddam in power. We wouldn't have these crazy people running around, because Saddam was killing them. They wouldn't even come back to the country.
And again, just like his father, what he tried to do in Afghanistan and Iraq was nation build, which he decried during the whole campaign. So he ended up doing things that he didn't even believe in, and they failed.
Yep. Monumentally. So, exactly. Yeah, but that's why Trump is so great. He does make me nervous sometimes. I agree. I don't agree with everything he says, but I'm behind him. Yep. And Trump I trust, I mean.
Love it. Bill, pleasure. Thank you, my man.
My pleasure. Thank
you.
Work
on that theme song now.
I will.
We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. This date, 1973, George Harrison, another great song of his, number one with his hit, Gimme Love, Gimme Peace on Earth. It was number one this date in that year. And British territory of Hong Kong transferred to China. Prince Charles overseeing the capitulation. And the Red Chinese, of course, like all communist, socialist Bolsheviks do, broke every single piece of the agreement that the British thought they had. And I don't know. Was it necessary for the empire to give that nation state up? City-state, I should say. I don't know. But it was not. It was like the Panama Canal. Like, oh, we're going to be magnanimous with people who don't share our values or who don't value even, truth or their responsibilities to the world, their citizens, anything. And it worked out predictably, unfortunately. They use Hong Kong as a source of capital for their failing communist system. That's it. Anyway, somebody said these Democrats that are protesting Trump and ICE, where were they when Obama was deporting millions of illegals? I know. It just proves they're just useful idiots of the Democrat Party. You are correct, Tom. One of our great listeners telling me he was in the background of a picture when Nixon came to the flooded valley. Another texter, Bush Sr. led his generals general. Desert Storm was a success. Yep, no nation building. And by the way, it was controversy that he pulled up, but it was a slaughter. We could have killed thousands and thousands more, but Bush Sr. did the right thing. Yes, he did. Okay, we achieved our objective. Done. Somebody said, hey, Bob, did you hear that on Bloomberg Report? Big companies have too many management positions, so they are downsizing. Why aren't the left-wing lunatics complaining about this like they did when Trump was downsizing the government and military management? Because you know how it is. Oh, Lord, it's crazy stuff. Everything they do, please remember this. To support today's Democrat Party, you have to be a hypocrite. Because no one would want to live the way they're saying you're supposed to live. And you have to be a liar because you've got to cover up for failure and pretend it didn't happen. Just like the surveyor who starts at the wrong reference point. Everything they do is wrong. Everything they say is wrong. And they just make it up. Just think of this. Let's go back. I'll just give you three. Trump's tariffs are going to raise price. He's taxing the middle class with his tariffs. Well, inflation went down. Growth and inflation went down. The lowest in 4 years under Donald Trump after the tariffs. They're cutting Medicaid. Who's experienced these Medicaid cuts? Anyone? They're not even in place yet. Oh my God, people will be dying. I say this often. Of all the people that the Democrats and Bono claimed had died because of Trump policies or Elon Musk, there'd be nobody left in the country. We'd all be dead. Oh, and the other one, the stock market. He's cratering the stock market, his policy. Now that at its highest ever, they just go on to the next subject. I'm going through Facebook. I don't do it as often as I used to, But I'm going through Instagram. I find more useful. Anyway, I'm going through Facebook, and I see Josh Shapiro pop up. And he's talking about Medicaid cuts. Well, you're lying, I wrote. Normally, who cares? He's never going to see this. But I wrote, you're lying. Yeah, people are concerned about Medicaid cuts because you're lying that they're occurring or they're going to occur. That's why they're worried. You're making them worried based on lies. The Democrat Party has fallen to such a state. It's an abject disgrace. Their positions, the people who lead it, are disgusting. Oh, unbelievable. Never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. We've never experienced anything like it. And let's pray we get a real Democrat Party sometime soon, because the Republicans will go off the rails. You let them, they'll go off the rails. They're people. Anyway, let's take this break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. My Picardo watch tells me it's 11:02 and 23 seconds. So let's do the news. And then we'll come back. We've got Captain Neil Childs from the Salvation Army. They've got something pretty neat going on this week that they've been doing for a couple of years. We're going to talk to him about that after this. Great good morning, everyone. My Bacarda's watch tells me it is 11:12 here in the great Northeast this beautiful Monday, June 30th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his incredible companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost, but celebrate today. Like Robert McDermott, Duryea, Mauro Cosinis, Hazleton, James Dipple, Mayfield, Ralph Payne, late of North Carolina, but he was from Scranton, Frank Max Macon, Marcellus, New York, but Berwick, and Russell Gillespie, Hetlerville. So, with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. So, there's a really neat event going on that a buddy of mine turned me on to. And that's this week. The Salvation Army is conducting an event. And on the air to talk about it is Captain Neil Childs from the Salvation Army. How are you, Captain?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Talk to us. Tell us the who, what, where, when, and why of this event.
Sure. So this Thursday, July 3rd, from 10 a.m. until we run out, we are giving away watermelons for free. We have an amazing donor through Atlantic Fresh Trading who has given us around 3,500 watermelons that we're going to be handing out. We're doing one per family and two families per car. It's going to be a drive-through coming in from the Hickory Broadway Street area in Scranton, coming through our parking lot. You'll be given your watermelons. You'll be exiting out on the South Washington Ave, turning right and going on your way.
I mean, everybody should know where the Salvation Army is. You've got the great store there. You do all your amazing work from there on South Washington Avenue. Sounds neat. So, again, let's repeat this. And that's our man, Jamie Rosenstein. Tell me, how did this start and how many years ago?
So that's a great question. We actually started, as far as I know, 4 years ago. I've only been here. My wife and I have only been here for 3 years. In the Salvation Army, we move around much like the regular military. We get our moving orders and we move along. But we've been here for 3 years. As a matter of fact, my second day here, we did our first watermelon giveaway, which was absolutely amazing. And I got to meet Jamie and his team and his family, which are a great group of people, amazing group of people who come out and just to support us like that. They also supported us throughout the COVID-19 pandemic by giving us a whole bunch of fresh vegetables and stuff that we could hand out in our food pantry. It was amazing. They're just a great group of people. But yeah, we've been doing this for 4 years now, and it's a great tradition.
I think it is great, and with the heat wave we had, we could all use a little watermelon, couldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's obviously very important to stay hydrated, and I mean, there's nothing better than watermelon on a hot day. Let's face facts. It's just an amazing fruit, and again, water in its name. It'll keep you hydrated.
Captain Childs, 3,500. That's
that
a lot
crazy.
of watermelons.
Yeah. And we love it. It's so much fun. Honestly, we've had some amazing encounters with people over the years. Last year, we had one elderly couple come through who just happened to see a line of cars going through the driveway and wanted to know more. And we're like, hey, want a watermelon? And they're like, really? We're like, yeah, absolutely. And we got a card in the mail several days later saying, "Thank you. That watermelon was amazing, and it couldn't have come at a better time for us as we were celebrating the passing of a dear friend." So it was great. It was a wonderful experience, and it's one of those things that we just love to do.
Neat. I think it's great. Are there any qualifications? I mean, who can
Nope.
come down and get these watermelons from the Salvation Army?
Whoever comes in, yeah,
Okay.
we're giving them away to everybody. So it's a first come first serve until supplies run out. Again, it's one per household, 2 households per vehicle. We'll be starting at 10 a.m. We simply ask that you come down the Hickory Broadway Street entrance to our building, go through the parking lot, and when you exit, you turn right onto South Washington. As you may or may not know, Elm Street Bridge has been closed off, and so there's a lot of construction in that area. Therefore, there's a whole lot more traffic in our area. So we're trying to limit the traffic jams and trying to keep things moving all the way through.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. So let's give the time and location again.
Once again, we're at 500 South Washington Ave in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it will be from 10 o'clock in the morning until we run out.
All right.
On July 3rd.
That's great stuff. Just in time for the holiday. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Captain Neil Childs, Salvation Army. That's where it's all happening. Salvation Army in Southside on Thursday. We appreciate you coming on and telling us about it. We appreciate all the work the Salvation Army does.
Thank you, Bob. We appreciate you, too.
All right. We'll take a break here. Bob Cordaro, the eponymous program, will roll on. We want to hear from our great sponsors. Then a little music, a little history, a little music, and then you. We're back. Bob Cordaro, WILK. President Trump and North Korea Kim Jong-un. Remember Trump named him Rocket Man? Oh, Lord. My favorite comedian. He really is. Anyway, somebody said, well, one of the trolls. So A.G. Bondi stated she didn't know law enforcement officers were covering their faces during immigration enforcement operations. Now, so you know, they work under Homeland Security, not the Attorney General's office. Just so you know. Maybe you don't. So, and what's your point? Well, I don't know what your point is. They should be wearing and covering their faces and protecting their identities from savage illegals who will kill and slaughter their families. Again, I don't get the issue. I know that you're following all the Democrat talking points, which makes you look like an ass. But what is the point? Should they not be protected? What am I missing here? I'm telling you, people are just, I don't know what you are. I don't even know what to call you. Because you're stringing sentences together when you text me, but you make no sense. You try to make a point. Like, again, what is your point? Okay, Pam Bondi didn't know. Or she was lying. What's the... I don't get it. How does that affect the larger picture? Or do you want to win like a tiny little point because you know that everything you're saying and standing for is wrong? Dangerous to the country. I don't get it. I'm telling you. They grab on anything off the point or that's a side point. And I think the reason they do it is because they know they're wrong about everything. By the way, just to point out to you, it's still a real possibility. Like we think this Iranian situation is done. And I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But I see cyber-related attacks, asymmetrical warfare against the United States from Iran. Now, they may have been spanked so hard and so badly between the Israelis and our latest attack, which man, that would cause fear in any logical human being. And by the way, the Ayatollah, the Supreme Ayatollah, who has to live in hiding and who Trump claims, and I don't doubt the Israelis know where he is, that he could be killed at any time. Well, apparently he doesn't want to meet his virgins yet. So there's a possibility they won't attack, but they've got the assets here let in by the idiots in the Biden administration. They also have the resources, still have the resources, because of idiots in the Biden administration who gave them all that oil money and released 3 tranches, multi-billion-dollar tranches of funds so that they could cause mischief, havoc, and murder and mayhem around the Middle East. But it's still a real possibility. Don't, it's not over. At least as far as I can tell. Iran will want to strike back. And we've already know that our water systems and electrical grid are vulnerable. That's to cyber attacks and that's to physical attacks, which is even more dangerous. See something, say something. Somebody says, Bob, that texter would be thrilled if the ICE agent and his family were killed. I know. I don't get it. I don't get what you're even saying. Somebody else texted, they dox our agents and give out the names and address of our agents to put them at risk. And this is left-wing loonies. Somebody else texted him, Dems are out of control. They are. They're gone. I'm telling you, they're gone. You see any one of them. They don't care what their previous positions were. They don't care if what they say is wrong. They don't care if it's a lie. They don't care if it goes directly against common sense. If Trump is for it, they're again. Somebody takes him, Bob, you're 100% correct. Democrats will never address the issue that this is a better country. And at any point in time, we could always go back over and spank the Iranians again. Yeah, Chuck from Carl, don't forget the pallets of cash Obama gave them. Oh, $1.7 billion in cash. We actually shipped this to Iran. $1.7 billion in cash. What did they use it for? For missile and nuclear development and to kill Jews and attack shipping. That's what they used the money for. Oh, by the way, and maybe about another $50 billion Obama let them have. Tom from Dallas says Trump and his administration know the threat a lone wolf Iranian can have on America, and that's why he's rounding up Iranians as we speak. Yeah. Somebody says, funny how the left doesn't mention mask-wearing rioters. Listen, if they didn't have hypocrisy and lies, they'd have nothing. And I don't know why you hold these positions. I don't get it. You know they're wrong. You know they're lies. And you do it anyway. I'm not understanding. You know it's actually harmful to you and your family and your community. And you insist anyway. I can't get into that psyche. I really can't understand it. So then they try to win some point, like Zoran Mamdani, an absolute lunatic, avowed socialist. He literally said that we'll have to tax the white areas of New York more. What? Somebody texts, Iran was the largest supplier of explosive devices that killed our troops. People just can't understand that. I know. Death to America. Yeah, that's a friendly thing. Death to America. Oh, my God. It's scary. All right. We got to take a break, hear from our great sponsors. My Bacardo watch time is 11:32 and 17 seconds. We'll take this break. We'll come back. We'll do our veterans tribute, the weather, and then it's opened up for you. 570-883-0098 to call or to text. Our Veterans Tribute today. Veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate. Thanks to John Basiliga and his great family of companies. Reminder, fine dining tonight. Yeah, somebody's open. A Terra 519 in downtown Scranton. Have a nice laid-back, amazing meal. Frank Max Macon, Marine Corps vet. He worked for New Jersey schools, late of Marcellus, New York. He was born in Binghamton. 78 years, FM Macon. He wore many hats. His persona was bright, strong, handsome, and intelligent. He was driven by discipline, spawned in the Marine Corps. He led an intense and productive life. He was mischievous and competitive. After high school, Frank followed in the footsteps of his two beloved older brothers and served this great country by enlisting in the Marine Corps at the age of 17. He distinguished himself there as the highest scoring marksman in his company. He was chosen in his division for the Marine Corps recruiting poster. His 13 weeks at Paris Island in 1964 forged friendships that would last his entire life. He served us in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Vietnam. Frank's training in the Corps was the catalyst for his college studies, and he graduated summa cum laude from Harper College, now Binghamton University. He had a professional career as director of health and safety in the Northern New Jersey school system. He also taught as adjunct professor at the University of Medicine and Dentistry, New Jersey. Family points out his most significant life experience occurred in 1976 at St. Cyril Church in Binghamton, New York, when he accepted Jesus Christ as his Savior. Survived by a number of family members, he was laid to rest at what he considered home, Berwick, at the Michael Demko of Holy Annunciation Orthodox Church officiating. He was buried in the parish cemetery in Berwick. Frank Max Macon. Russell Gillespie, talented golfer, owned Tuggy's Restaurant. He was 89 when he passed May 21st. He was from Hetlerville, born in Philadelphia, attended Northeast Public Philadelphia schools. He served in the U.S. Navy 1954 to 1958 on the USS Sea Lion and the USS Grampus. He was employed at Penn Fruit Company in Philadelphia and New Jersey. And he worked on tugboats in Philadelphia and the New York Delaware Harbor, which is where he got his nickname Tuggy. He was a member of the Maritime Union. He moved to this area and he opened a Hilltop Inn in Mifflinville, which later became Tuggy's. He also owned the Super 8 Motel in Mifflinville, 88 to 2004. He attended the LCBC Church and was a member of the Wesley United Methodist Church, Nescopec. Berwick VFW, Washington Lodge, Bloomsburg. Talented golfer. Upon retirement, he acquired his boat and started deep-sea fishing in Florida. He'll be greatly missed by his wife of 69 years, Dawn, his daughters, 6 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. Tragically, he was preceded in death by his son, Andrew. Russell Gillespie. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his outstanding family of companies. Storm Tracker 16 forecast meteorologist Anthony Bordenaro. Today, partly sunny and humid with a chance of late-day thunderstorms, high near 90, 81 outside the studios right now. Tonight, partly cloudy and muggy, 71. Tuesday, clouds and breaks of sun with showers and thunderstorms, 85. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 85. Murph picked that for Mr. Paul because on this date in 1973, Three Dog Night moved into the top 10 charts at number 10 with their 10th top hit and 16th overall hit with Shambhala. I just love Three Dog Night. Oh, great stuff. Anyway, we're back. Bob Cordaro. That was Nancy Mace. Congressman Nancy Mace, South Carolina. with the hapless Rip Taylor, otherwise known as a confetti-less Rip Taylor, otherwise known as Tim Walz, the ridiculous governor of Minnesota. What a shame. What a shameful person. What do you want me to say? I mean, isn't that hard of a question? Seriously. Hey, somebody says just wanted to give Nanacoke a shout out for their amazing fireworks display last night. Shout out, Nanacoke. Way to go. Somebody said TDS is a serious condition and much more dangerous than COVID. We must have sympathy. Maybe we take a page from the Democrat playbook and encourage treatment, mandate masks, major distancing, no large groups, no shouting, and stay at home. At least we can keep our churches open because they are godless. That may be what we have to do. Somebody texted, Bob, I want to be totally honest with you. I think Jake Tapper at CNN wants to be the next Walter Cronkite. I noticed lately he's stopping Democrat guests from lying. Like the border was secure under Biden. Yeah. He seems to be calling balls and strikes, and that's a good start back to political saying, no, he's doing it to sell his book. He's trying to save some shred of dignity from his own complicity and involvement in the cover-up of the Biden administration. By the way, in all respects, not just Biden's dementia and inability to perform the job. No, in every respect, he protected them. Yeah. Unbelievable. And you see, you can't trust them. He's trying to gain credibility so that he can suck you back in with left-wing lunacy. These people don't change their stripes. So I tell you about our governor, Shapiro, left-wing lunatic. Guaranteed does. That's who he is. That's who he has to pander to. You figure if he acts normal on certain subjects, where is he on transgender? Where is he on grade school, high school transgender? Where is he on education? He's fully backing. Where is he on energy? He's fully backing destroying our energy infrastructure, fully backing it. Don't be fooled. He's the wolf in sheep's clothing, and Fetterman is the wolf in a sheep's hoodie. That's who they are. They're not changing. Don't think Jake Tapper's changing one thing. He's only setting you up for when he wants you to believe him again. and of course, to sell a book. All right. My watch tells me, my Bacardo's watch tells me it's 11:45. Hey, Bulldog, maybe we should start with the Sinatra, huh? What do you think? And then go to the commercials. Whatever you want, though, my man. We'll take a break, and we'll be back. Had to wait for the heart sound effects. Huey Lewis in the News, Murph tells us this date, 1984, they had the #1 album with sports, The Heart of Rock and Roll. So somebody said, who is Bulldog and why is he called that? So if you've got access to a computer or even on your phone, you go to WILKnewsradio.com. And you'll see my smiling moon face on the camera. And then if you have a chance, and you will see the Bulldog's coming in. I want to show you it's the Bulldog. I've got to put him on camera now and then. He's standing behind me. He's hovering behind me because they want to see who the Bulldog is. And so he's behind me. And Bulldog, you have to stay at least a little bit because they've got to get their computer set up or their phone. If it's on the phone, you'll see this. There's a thing like a flip down, those arrows, and then that'll give you the chance to press watch, and you can watch the program. And the Bulldog's right behind me. There he is. And you'll see why he's called the Bulldog. But what he does, he's the producer of the show. He does everything. He answers the phones. He gives me a hard time the entire show, to be honest with you. So, but he answers the phones. He runs the board. Like when I want to play something, he plays it. He makes sure my mic's on, all of that stuff. He makes sure that I have the texts. Right, Bulldog? What else do you do? Tell us. You run the show.
Yes.
I talk. Yeah. All I have to do is talk. He runs the show. And that's the Bulldog. See him right behind me? And if you look at him, you'll see why I call him the Bulldog, because he's the Bulldog. Right, Bulldog?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Bulldog. You've got to get back to work. I know. So he was on camera long enough. If you get a chance, you get there. We're on it's probably about a 16-second delay on their thing. Body Shop guy said, is there an anonymous tip line for ice? I do not know. As Johnny Carson would say, I do not know that. I'm sure there is. Body Shop guy says he's asking for a friend. So we're going to finish with Philadelphia Freedom, one of my favorite songs of all time. Elton John, this date, 1930, it moved into the top 10 charts at number 10. And so, great song to finish with. And a little picture of the Bulldog, who we had on here for about 40 seconds. Huey Lewis, fun fact. Huey Lewis aced his SAT test. Perfect score. Huh. Chuck from Cardinal says, Bob, let's not forget the Democrats, along with FDR, rounded up Japanese and Germans during World War II and put them in camps because they were a threat to America and our safety. No protest rioting then. I know. Again, if you're not a hypocrite or liar, you can't support these clowns. It is a clown show on the Democrat left. I was watching the floor of the Senate on my monitor here. I mean, think about it. You have, who's the clown who went to El Salvador? Van Luvender, Van Housen, whatever. Van Halen, Senator Van Halen. And he's there talking with Pencilneck, the California senator. I mean, I'm saying you could not have a group of worse reprobates and Chuck Schumer. You just think about Amy Klobuchar was standing there. You could not have a group of the worst people. The Democrat caucus, and it's worse in the House, if it's possible. Well, there's nobody worse than Pencilneck. Literally, not a worse person in public service than him. Some people could tie him, like Biden's a tie with him. Whew. Scary stuff, guys. Well, the big, beautiful bill, right now, the Senate will be on the floor for as long as it takes, I guess, to try to pass this. They're going through an amendment stage. So a senator can offer amendments if they meet the parliamentarians' criteria for budget-related. they need 51 votes. If they don't, they need 60 votes. So it depends on what the amendment is. The Democrats went through their stalling process over the weekend. That is over, and now this process begins. And hopefully they'll pass it. Now remember, then it's got to go back to the House. And somehow, the Speaker, Mike Johnson, who you've heard on these airwaves, has to keep them together because he needs almost every single vote. They've already lost Massey. And see, the scare tactics that the left and the Democrat Party have been passing about Medicaid in particular, the lies, those have some of the Republicans nervous. Somebody said they need to fire that parliamentarian. She was put in that position by Schumer in 2012. Actually, you could be right, but I am told Harry Reid appointed her. That's even worse. Chuck Schumer of 2012 actually had lucid moments. Now he's gone completely, utterly, sadly. He was just a total idiotic shill. So that's the deal. Well, great to be back with you on a Monday. Good to start the week off with you. Cutie's back, so I'll be in line. And continue to, I'm not suffering through it, but feel the effects of all these people we are losing, so many of my friends. And it scares me. It scares me. I'm not worried about dying. It doesn't. If I want to just be right with God when I go so I can get into purgatory. All right, Sue Henry Show next. Rob O'Donnell Show after that. Great hanging with Rob Saturday night at Rags's. But for now, we've got to conclude. I can't stay any longer. I'm told I can't. So we will gavel to close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow morning. But for now, have a great afternoon. Adios.